Welcome to our podcast, Inspiring Living, with me, Mark Candelaria. I am an architect, blogger, traveler, chef, father, and husband. I am the founder and now partner of a fabulous 20-person architecture firm specializing in high-end residential architecture, designing amazing homes across the country. We have hosted tours over the last 20 years to Italy, Spain, and soon Napa. And in the course of all this, I have met a lot of interesting people who truly inspire me. We are excited to now be in our second season, and our podcast is about all the opportunities that are right there in front of us to inspire living. Yes, we will talk about architecture and design, but every week we will venture to all sorts of topics that will inspire you, teach you, and motivate you to inspire living every day. My guests will include a wide gamut of amazing people, from those in the design industry to clients to real estate professionals, chefs, artists, sports figures, and philanthropists, and people who just flat out get it. So sit back and enjoy, and let's have some fun exploring all the opportunities that are there just waiting for us. Please subscribe and get ready to be inspired every week. Okay, as my dad says, here we go. Welcome, everyone, and thanks again for listening to our podcast, Inspiring Living. Welcome to Season 2, and happy holidays, everyone. We're winding down 2020, and what a year, right? I hope everyone had a nice Christmas, and I wish everyone a joyous, prosperous, and most importantly, healthy 2021. Today's podcast episode features an amazing lady, and yes, of course, another dear friend, the powerhouse realtor, Sandra Wilken. We will talk about her amazing career and then get into what is happening in this incredibly hot real estate market here in Arizona, and in particular, the Paradise Valley and Scottsdale market. In fact, another of our Candelaria design homes just went into escrow, pushing us over the 100 million mark for Candelaria design homes sold in 2020. Isn't that amazing? 100 million. Okay, here we go. Our guest today is associate broker and real estate advisor, Sandra Wilken. Sandra has been in the real estate business for more than 40 years and has sold more than 1.4 billion with a B in new development residential real estate since 1979, plus 1.25 billion, that's another billion, in resales and new custom homes, and has recently joined forces with Modern Portfolio Real Estate Services. Welcome, Sandra.
Thank you, Mark.
You look so festive.
Thank you. It's Christmas time.
It's Christmas time, right? Are you ready?
I am ready.
Have you done all your shopping already?
Of course not.
I was like, gosh, she's going to make me feel so bad. I haven't done anything yet. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to have everyone over for dinner. I guess I have to do it one at a time this year, right?
Exactly.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. What a year, huh?
It's been an unbelievable year.
Unreal, right? It's just nice to take a little break and do a podcast, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that is an amazing amount of sales. I did 1.4 million, and then I said 1.25 billion, right? With B's.
Bees.
That's amazing, since 1979.
Correct.
And I'm sure this year hasn't hurt those numbers at all.
You know, this year, with everything that's gone on with COVID, it's been really interesting how people are really looking at their lives now and making decisions on what they want to do from a real estate standpoint. So it's been a challenging year.
Yeah. But real estate really has come to the forefront of people's minds. I mean, I think before there were obviously a lot of distractions with travel and entertainment and rock concerts and sporting events and all the things that we all get sucked into. And this put the stop on all of those things. Exactly. And the only thing people had to do was look at their home and maybe play the stock market all afternoon, right?
Exactly.
And they've both gone crazy, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So how did you get into real estate? How did that all begin for you?
Oh, well, I was living in Dallas, Texas, and I was married, and I went to work for an architect. And after about 2 weeks, the architect said to me, Sandra, you really need to get your real estate license, because with your background in architecture, design, marketing, and sales, you can find us the ground, then we can look at designing the structure, doing the interiors, and then you can be doing the marketing and the sales. And it was funny because he nicknamed me the one-stop shopping expert.
You could do it all, right?
I could do it all.
So this is back in Dallas.
This was back in Dallas.
And how did you end up out here in Arizona?
Well, my parents had moved here. My dad's health was very poor. We moved here from Boston in 1967.
Okay.
And basically, I met a gentleman, and I must have really loved him because I moved from Paradise Valley to Dallas, Texas, and Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Ooh, Tulsa. Wow, that's an exciting place.
Mm-hmm.
so, so what happened while you were in Dallas and Tulsa? So you did this real estate. You got into real estate.
Yes, he made me get my real estate license,
Okay.
which was the smartest thing I could have ever done.
Right.
And so we had a really short career together because then my husband passed away.
I'm sorry. Yep.
So I then moved back to Scottsdale
Okay.
and ended up working for another architect, and then said, okay, let's stop. Let's focus on what's the most important thing I should be looking at right now, and it was getting my real estate license in
In Arizona.
Arizona.
And what year was that roughly?
That was in 1976.
Okay. Yeah, I moved
Just-
here. I moved here in '79, so I remember what Arizona kind of looked like at that time.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was one freeway for God's sakes, you know. And I mean, there was nothing really. It was pretty small town still.
And let's put it this way: coming from a place called Boston,
Yeah.
to a place called Paradise Valley, it was definitely culture shock.
Right. And back then in '79, I mean, you know, there were 1 acre lots, but the houses were still little ranch houses.
Exactly.
I mean, there were no mega mansions in Paradise Valley back then.
Oh no.
I mean, zero, right?
Exactly.
And it all changed. And it changed about the time you got here then, because from the 80s on, it just kept going and going.
Right.
And so '79, you got your real estate license.
Actually, 76.
76, okay. I moved here in '79. You were here in
Correct.
zet's Yeah, let's keep the story straight. Okay, so right about then, the valley did start taking off, and you kind of got hooked up with some developers that were looking at the opportunities in North Scottsdale. Tell us about that a little bit.
You know, I think the key for me is always setting a goal.
Mm-hmm.
And my goal was to bring the first development to Coldwell Banker.
Okay.
And I met this group from Canada, and basically they wanted to hire me. And at that point, Coldwell Banker was really strong on we must get 6% because Coldwell Banker was out of California. We opened the first office on Scottsdale Road.
Okay.
So, long story short, I ended up, instead of staying with Coldwell Banker, this Canadian developer wooed me away, and that started my development career.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So what were some of the first developments that you were involved in with them?
Well, the first development was called Walden Place and
Okay.
Walden Condos off of McDonald and Hayden Road.
Okay. Okay, that was a burgeoning little area right around there.
Uh-huh.
Yep, so you did that for a while.
Yep.
But then you got involved with some pretty big ones.
Well, I did. And everyone takes a stepping stone.
Right.
And
you learn along the way.
Exactly.
Yep.
And for some reason, Canadian developers love me. So
I think anybody would love you, Sandra. Come on. It doesn't just be Canadians.
thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
But the next Canadian developer was Cadillac Fairview out of Toronto, and they were developing the Phoenician.
Okay.
So
Now we're talking.
and I was known as the lease land queen
Ooh.
because we were on not a 99-year land lease, we were on a 124-year land lease.
Hmm. The Phoenician was.
The Phoenician was.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
Is it still on a land lease?
no. Years later, I was instrumental in helping the owners redesign everything so that then they could actually own the property.
Wow. And what a marquee property that is, huh?
Exactly.
Pretty amazing. Then the Keatings got involved with it and
Well, that was
down the road.
another story.
Another story for another podcast, huh? Gosh, it's amazing what we've seen though over the years, isn't it?
It is.
Just
it is.
the rise and fall, the boom, the bust. I mean, you've been through some good ones,
I have.
right?
I have.
I mean, of all of them, and we'll get to COVID, of course. That's the one we're dealing with now. Which I'm curious what your initial reaction. Well, let's go there. I mean, what was not to jump around too much, but what was your initial reaction when, like, let's say February, March of last year, when you heard this COVID thing coming? What did you think was going to happen?
Well, um, uh, I could admit that I went to a psychic, and the psychic said that we needed to really take this seriously.
Yep.
And so I did. Um, and it was interesting how all of our lives changed. And what I found with a lot of my clients is now that they were having to spend more time in their homes, they were looking at their lives.
Right.
And they had no choice but to look at their lives.
They had time.
And so, what do we want to do with our lives?
Right.
And basically, it was everything from um, we we need a bigger home
Yeah.
to clients that basically they had beautiful homes in the nicest areas, the suburbs of Chicago, as an
Mm-hmm.
example,
Mm-hmm.
and they were now seeing the riots, seeing all of that. They
Right.
were fearful. And so they basically woke up one day and said, okay, we have a small place on Gainey Ranch, as an example. We need a bigger place now.
Interesting. So a lot of people that had second homes kind of said, let's just spend more time in Arizona.
Exactly.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah. So did you think that, I mean, when it first happened, were you preparing yourself for the worst, or were you preparing for what had ultimately happened, which is like the most unbelievable real estate market I've ever seen?
Uh, you know,
What did you think?
we we didn't know.
We didn't know,
I
right?
mean, we didn't know.
I was like, okay, this is 2008 all over again.
Exactly.
I was like, I'm preparing for the worst, and if I'm pleasantly surprised, hooray! But I'm not going to be like caught off guard this time.
But I think the good news for us being in Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, was people started looking at, okay, if we're going to move from another state,
Right,
where should we move to?
right.
So the good and bad news is we have a lot of California people moving here.
Yeah.
A lot of people really looking at, okay, where should we relocate our companies?
Right.
So we're seeing with COVID now, the good and bad news is everyone's moving here.
A lot of people are moving here, aren't they? And when I listen to the national media, I don't hear that much about it. I still hear Texas and I hear Florida. And I heard the other day for the first time Tucson, which caught me off guard. It's like Tucson before Phoenix. I mean, Tucson's booming more than we are? Because that's kind of hard to believe. But I just don't know if we're still totally on the radar out there. But we must be. I mean, the numbers
Oh,
prove we are.
we totally are.
Yeah,
We totally are.
it's amazing. All right, so let's jump back again. So Phoenician, then you were involved with Gainey Ranch, weren't you?
Of course, that was my.
That was your marquee deal.
Yep. It
Yeah.
was.
So tell us about that a little bit.
Well, it was interesting because I had a 4-phase contract with the Phoenician, and then a man by the name of Charlie Keating came along, and I ended up having only a 1-phase contract with the Phoenician. But it was interesting because before that happened, I had been called by the developer at Gainey Ranch. It was Markland,
Yep,
and they
that's right.
said, "We've heard a lot about you. Please come and let us give you a tour." So we toured the golf course. I took a seriously look at the project. It was a 10-year project. And I said to myself, okay, if I'm going to make a move, this is the move I want to make.
Right.
So I finished my phase 1 at the Phoenician and
Off you went to Gainey Ranch.
moved off to Gainey.
And now, don't you live in that area?
I live in Gainey.
Yeah, you've loved that little area.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
it's so close to everything. That whole area seems to be booming again. I mean, we're doing a ton of work, not necessarily in Gainey. We have done some work at Gainey, but we're doing a ton of work in McCormick Ranch right now.
Right, because you have to look at the age of McCormick.
Right.
And one of the things I'd always say about Gainey is, the good news about Gainey Ranch is you cannot beat the location.
Right.
The not so
And it's only gotten better and better too, because it's become more centralized. When it was first built, it was kind of out in the boonies,
exactly.
but now it's in the middle of town.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I'd say, the not so good news is 50% of us need a facelift.
Yeah.
So we've been going through the facelifting, and it's been a very interesting process.
Yeah. Yeah. It's we've noticed that too from the design side. I mean, a lot of the guidelines were written back in that time, and people don't want that look. They want a fresher, cleaner, more open, more lighter, not brown. And so it's been interesting to kind of, twist the mentality of some of these design review boards and say, hey, can you please let us just do this? Let us do one and show you how nice it is and how fast it sells. And we've gotten that over the goal line here recently. And I mean, we can't, as soon as it's rendered,
Yeah.
it's virtually sold,
Exactly.
So I think that whole area, and Paradise Valley is the same thing. I mean, there's still a ton of those old ranch homes that are still sitting around all over the place on smoking beautiful lots, right? I mean, how do you have a mental inventory of all those houses? You're like, okay, I got to keep my eye on that one because I know when that one goes, I want to be there.
Yes.
I always wonder about how you look at when you drive around, what goes through Sandra Wilken's mind on stuff like that? Because I know what goes through my mind. I see a house going up, and I go, now how come they didn't call me to design that house?
I know. Or how come they didn't call me to list the property?
Right? So that does happen.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
So Paradise Valley, though, is still a pretty hot little spot, isn't it?
Oh, totally, totally. And it was funny because when my parents moved here in 1967, just to digress for a moment,
Yep.
Fortunately, they met a great real estate person, and the person said, you need to live between Camelback Mountain and Mummy Mountain. That's the sweet spot.
Still is.
And that's where I started my career with Coldwell Banker.
Good place to start.
Mm-hmm.
You could only go up from there. I mean, you could only just prosper from there. You were right in the heart of everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. So one of the things that I noticed in Paradise Valley, and I'm just wondering about your perspective on this, is obviously PV. We just had Vernon Parker on recently, and great mayor of
Yes.
Paradise Valley, and what a great guy he is.
Yes.
But Paradise Valley is known for 1 acre lots.
Correct.
Other than Miramonte, Mountain Shadows, what
Cheney
else?
Estates.
Cheney Estate. There's a few that are less, but not very many.
Correct.
How many people do you hear would love to have less than an acre if they could live in Paradise Valley?
Well, what we're finding now is, the people that have lived in Paradise Valley
On their 1 acre lots.
on their 1 acre lots, they're now saying, we love our location, but we don't want the upkeep anymore.
Right.
So we wish we could have less to take care of.
Right. Right. And PV's they're not budging. I mean, they're
No.
sticking to that 1 acre, and it's tough because I think there is such a demand, and there's so many, let's just say, marginal lots on the periphery of Paradise Valley that I think they could go to a little higher density to get, allow these people to move from their 1 to 5 acre parcels into something that's nice and still in their neighborhood. But we'll see where that goes.
Exactly.
I know it's tough. So what's happened though that I see is in Scottsdale there are a lot more, smaller lots and higher density. And Gainey Ranch is a good example. McCormick Ranch is a good example. I think they're really benefiting from a lot of these people in Paradise Valley that want to downsize.
They are. And as an example on Gainey, we're selling to quite a few people from Paradise Valley. And I hate to say, but especially with COVID now,
Yeah.
people want extra tight security.
Yep.
They want to be able to lock and leave and travel and just not worry.
And they want 1 level. They don't want steps.
And they want single level.
Right?
Single level.
That's what I tell her. I said, if you're going to do 2-story, you better put an elevator.
Elevator.
Or you're doomed.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you hear the same thing. So through this whole career of real estate, I mean, we'll talk about the ups and downs a little bit, but you progressed all the way through. I mean, you've had your own companies. You are truly one of the leaders in the real estate market, the residential real estate market in Arizona, and have been for a long time. And I know I was just one of your Women Achievement Awards last year. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was a real honor to sit at your table.
Thank you.
And see you get that award. Tell us about that award a little bit.
Oh.
See, I told you I don't follow the script.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. It was a real honor because I look at people who, I just love what I'm doing. And basically when people nominate me, I feel honored. I mean,
Right.
I feel totally honored. And it was interesting because once I received that award, I was doing a lot of my real estate work was consulting all over the country and all over the world. And It was interesting because something said to me, it's time to get back to your roots and start and give back more to the community,
Mm-hmm.
so on and so forth. And so it solidified the thought that it's time for me to really spend time in my backyard.
Yeah, nice. It is. I mean, we do live in a great community, and there are so many great charities that I'm personally involved in. I know you're involved in many too, and it's just there is a lot to be done, and it's great when great people can participate in those things and it's not that hard to make such a big difference, is what I find.
Exactly. And,
Right?
what I look at is because I'm selling to people from all over the country and all over the world, one of their questions is, Sandra, what should we get involved with? What
Interesting.
what charity can we help? And I love, educating my
Yeah.
clients on, what they can do to give back to the community.
Right. I think that's great. Uh, I don't want to get too political in this podcast. It's really easy for me to do. I try to keep it out of there, but I just think that I think it's from the charities I've been involved in, and I really try to pick charities where I see the money going right to the source that they're trying to solve or fix or help. Um, what I think is these charities that do that are so much more efficient with that money than if we relied on the government to do all these things. I just see the direct correlation of money to help that route than the government process.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So I just think what I worry about is that they're going to sabotage some of these opportunities for people to participate and give to charities. And by taking away some of these deductions, I just think it's a huge disaster just waiting to happen, because no one's going to really pick up the ball on the government side with some of these charities of the work that they're doing. I think that's just my own personal opinion.
No comment.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
I mean, so I love the fact that you're so involved with the community and everybody else that does that. I just hope we continue to do that. So with your business, let's see, what do you got here? What were some of your first breaks? Let's talk about that. What were some of your first breaks?
Because I've got some great ones.
Okay, let's hear this.
Because we ended up moving to just below John Gardner's tennis ranch.
Okay.
And I was an avid tennis player. And we were members at John Gardner's. And so it was always fun because I loved playing with the guests.
Yeah.
And so little did I know that the pro would say, oh, by the way, this is a great tennis player that you should play with. But then he'd also say, oh, and she's in real estate too.
There you go.
And knows the area like the back of her hand. So we'd play maybe one set, and then the client guest would say, I understand you know something about real estate here. And what am I going to say? No.
Yeah.
And so I was very fortunate to really help. The main key is really educating the client
Sure.
on the different areas. And so that was one of my fun breaks. And then my other memorable fun break was my when my parents lived in Boston, my mother would fly out for 2 weeks to Elizabeth Arden Main Chance, the fat farm.
Yep.
Not that she was fat, but and she would just love Elizabeth Arden Main Chance. So one year as a Christmas treat, she invited me to go, and I knew the social director very well. And so, of course, the social director said to a lot of the guests, oh, Sandra Wilken, she's in real estate. And at that point, I was selling the Phoenician, or I just finished selling the Phoenician.
Yep.
So, at any rate, one day I was summoned to a guest's room, and it just happened to be Elizabeth Taylor.
Oh, wow. This is a good story.
I'm going, what am I going to do here? But I listened to her needs, and she had wanted a getaway place.
Huh.
And long story short, she never purchased, but I was honored that she would send me quite a few of her friends
That's neat.
to purchase homes.
That's neat. I mean, just to be in the presence of someone like that, sometimes when you see him on film or on TV, you always think you see him in a certain way, and when you see him 3-dimensionally, isn't it different?
Well, plus the fact that at Main Chance, we were there for rest and relaxation, and we didn't wear makeup, so it would be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, to see him in true 3D. Oh
So,
wow,
but
what an experience that must have
it
been.
was, it really
That's
was.
really cool. Well, I'm sure you've had plenty over the years. I mean, this city is always burgeoning with celebrities and athletes,
Hmm.
and we've had a couple interesting ones together. We probably can't even talk about on the
But
podcast.
yeah, we can't. But
No,
they've been
they've been
fabulous.
fabulous, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So share with your listeners, the listeners here today, some of your career advice and lessons you've learned along the way. I mean, it's not always been easy,
No,
right?
it hasn't.
No, you've had your ups and you've had your downs, right?
Hmm.
We all have.
We all have, and I think the key is you you need to really. It's real simple.
Hmm.
Well,
It's simple from this
normally
side.
it's really
It's real
simple.
simple from this side of the fence. After you've
But
been through the war zone.
exactly. But you need to listen to what your clients are saying. Listen to them.
Yeah.
And then you need to properly educate them and, tell them the good news and the not so good news about an area. Um, and, really you're their therapist, you're their once you gain their confidence, they're there to tell you their story and their situation. And there's nothing worse, and I'm sorry because I've been doing this for quite a while, to see an agent who really could care less about the client and only about the money.
Right.
And it just,
Yeah.
I-
It's the same with the architecture. If I only cared about my fee and that was my only focus, I would be horrible. I would be a horrible architect. What I like to do is we get the fee done, we focus on the client, we
Mhm.
listen, we design, and the fees, I don't even think about the fee ever again. Hopefully I
exactly,
never have to think about it ever again. I
exactly,
can just focus all my time and attention on the client, make them happy, and the money takes care of itself if you do that,
100%.
right? And it's the same in your business. So one thing I always find fascinating with realtors is, do you find what do you enjoy more, selling an existing house or helping someone buy a new house?
Oh,
I mean, they're
um,
two totally different experiences, right? From your
yeah.
perspective.
I think it just depends on the client.
Yeah.
It depends on the client, and another key is, I hate to say it, but a lot of real estate people, uh, they want to sell an existing home, get their commission right away.
Yep.
Versus with me, with my background in architecture and design and marketing and sales, I love to find the piece of ground,
Mm-hmm.
to assemble the team,
Mm-hmm.
to really take care of the client's needs,
Right.
and
So
it may
first full service.
exactly, and it may take 2-3 years to build,
Right.
but it's to see the satisfaction on their faces.
Well, and the other thing that I've experienced too, especially we've both been in this business about 40 years, and one thing I've experienced now is you just go wherever you can and plant seeds. Plant those seeds, take good care of people. Don't worry about where you're going to get today or tomorrow. Plant the seeds, and you know what? You might not get that reward for 20 years, but the more seeds you plant, they're all coming along the way. Right?
100%.
Yeah. I
100%.
think too many people get too short-sighted in their careers and just
Mhm.
wondering, what can I get today out of this, and not think about the marathon. That's what I tell my team all the time. Always make your decision based on how you're going to win the marathon.
Right, and it was funny. The other day, I was up for a listing, and I didn't get it. Um, I I was really upset because I felt that we were the best company to represent the seller.
Yep.
So I was in depression for maybe 20 minutes. That's all I had time for. But the next day, I got a phone call from a past client that referred me an incredible client, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
I forgot about the listing I didn't get.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too is, no one bats 1,000. I mean, it would sure be fun if you did, wouldn't it? I mean, I remember Jerry Colangelo telling me that one day. He pulled me aside and he goes, "Don't worry, Candelaria. No one bats 1,000." He says, as long as you have more wins than losses, you're doing okay,
Mm.
And so I remember that lesson, and it's very
Mhm.
true. So, when you do lose, you want to learn from it, you want to fine tune, and you want to just get back out there.
Exactly.
Take another swing at the ball coming your way, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people get so focused or even revengeful. I've seen some people like, why put your energy into that, right? And I've seen it in realtors, probably more than any profession, unfortunately. And I don't know.
We don't want to lose.
Oh gosh, it's awful sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell people just let it go. Try to let it go and move on. Look forward. The windshield doesn't. The rear view mirror doesn't get you anywhere. Look through the windshield, right?
Correct.
And that's one thing I've always liked about you. You're such a positive person, and I know between Isabel and I and yourself, we just have such a great friendship. We always have so much fun together. So let's talk about a little bit of the fun we've had, okay? Because we've had some real fun.
We have.
You went on our Italy tour for your birthday.
For my birthday.
And you brought a whole slew of your girlfriends.
I did.
And that was quite a trip.
It wasn't, you probably don't remember, but it was the 13th tour. And why you said that, because did we have some
Oh yeah, that was a good lesson in perseverance and never giving up.
Exactly.
And it's funny because we had not a person from your group, but another person that was on the trip, like I don't know, the second or third day.
Yep.
He passes out at brunch.
Right.
He went stone cold.
Right.
And I don't know if he's dehydrated, or I think ultimately it was a dehydration is what they ruled.
Right.
But he had a heart attack
Exactly.
before, and so his wife was freaking out. He ended up in the hospital in Cortona. That was not how the itinerary was supposed to go that day.
Yeah, he ruined our lovely brunch.
Oh, God.
And it was funny, I don't know if you remember, but he was a client of yours and a client of mine.
Yeah, that's right. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, God. Luckily, he was okay.
Thank God.
Yeah, and he reconvened and joined us later. I mean, unbelievable. So that was just one of many things.
Yes.
We got some amazing storms that popped out of nowhere.
Oh my God.
And then we get to beautiful Lago de Como at the Villa d'Este, and it's the last night, and we have dinner up at Gatta de Nero, and I think it was just Isabel and I, wasn't it, or was it the whole group?
No, it was for my birthday party.
Yes.
And I don't know if you remember, but one of my clients surprised me, and they were my German clients.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Who have a home in Mallorca,
Yep.
a home in Lucerne, one in Berlin, and then I've sold them many homes in Scottsdale.
Amazing.
And they drove up in their 1956. They have so many cars.
I'm not a car person, so I'm not going to help you.
It was a Jaguar. And so they surprised me.
I remember this now. That was quite an evening.
It was.
Yeah, what a great place that is, isn't it? Up on the hill.
Oh,
it's like magical.
You picked the perfect place for my birthday, so thank you.
It was so nice. And I think I remember singing happy birthday to you, too.
Of course you did. Why not?
So anyway, we had that fabulous dinner. I remember we get all the way back to the hotel, and I think Isabel and I were stopping to get a cocktail, and we were kind of sitting there and go, wow, we got through trip 13. I mean, it's just unreal. We made it. And all of a sudden we hear this hullabaloo behind us, like, what the heck is going on over there? Everyone's running to the stairs, and we're like, what happened? So I kind of curiously make my way over there, and you had taken a fall down the stairs.
No, down the marble staircase.
The marble staircase, yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't just a carpeted little soft. It was the grand stair.
Yes, it was. I
Oh
made
my
a
God.
grand
Departure.
fall.
The final moments of trip 13. Oh my God, that was so scary.
It was.
So I remember we took you back to the room, and I remember Isabel did a healing on you.
She did.
And you were ready to go. You were ready to fly the next day home, and
Oh, well, it was thanks to Isabel 100% because it was very, very scary.
it was scary. It was really scary. And I think your ring got broken. And
Well, I knew I didn't have a concussion because I immediately looked at my rings and went, oh, I've lost a diamond. Oh, my God.
yeah,
And I've broken my watch.
so you were okay.
I was fine.
You were fine. You just had a big knot on your shin, if I remember right.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. And my doctor didn't want me to fly.
Right.
So
Isabel worked a little magic, and we got you home.
she did.
Yeah.
She did.
That was a great trip. We did have a lot of fun, and despite it, it's another one of those testaments to, just get through it, just keep moving forward. And it's funny now when I post stuff on our Italy tours, your group, who I feared, like, oh my God, that was just the toughest trip ever. They write the nicest things. They go, that was the best trip ever. I'm like, what? I says we had so many crazy things happen, but we all bonded through it
Yeah,
all.
we did.
We had the ups and downs, but we all got through it. And everyone, I get the nicest comments from every single person on
Yeah.
that trip. So
Mm.
that was a good lesson, just to learn that, nothing's always going to go smoothly. You're never going to bat 1,000, and you just have to keep going and stay positive, and it all works out, right?
Well, and again, I mean, I had never been on your trips. I had heard about them, but I have to say, I have to say that every moment was so amazing. It was honestly a trip of a lifetime.
Yeah.
And as soon as we're finally able to have another trip,
Well, we're booking. We're trying to book September of 21.
okay.
So my thinking is, with the vaccine hopefully coming out, they'll give us the shot. We'll have our microchips in our bodies,
Yep.
so they can track where we are all the time and whatever. Anyway, I'm getting it.
Yes.
I'm going to go forward and get it. And our goal is to put the 21 trip together. It'll be Isabel's 50th birthday,
Oh my God.
and I'll still be 60.
Okay.
I don't turn 60 or 61 till October, so we're going to make it the 50-60
Oh.
tour.
Oh.
And her birthday will be while we're there in Italy.
Oh, fabulous.
So our goal is to take a couple days and stay at Villa Piziano while you guys all stay at the house.
Right.
And we'll
Right.
meet up and we'll celebrate her birthday night, just the two of us.
Perfect.
How's that sound?
Perfect.
And hopefully no one will pass out that day. So then anyway, you were playing tennis at John Gardner's tennis ranch in Paradise Valley.
Yep.
Right? And then I got involved with a little project with John Gardner up in Sedona.
Yes.
And I know that the Enchantment is another place that you and I and Isabel have had some fun. And you were just there.
I was just there.
Yeah.
I was just there
With Victoria.
with Victoria.
Beautiful.
Oh my God.
So we had fun last year. We went about, was it December? Or when was it?
I think I don't know if it was November or December, but
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
so
in the
fun. It was so funny because we were up there. I was up there because my girlfriend was in a wedding, and all of a sudden I'm watching your Facebook, and it looked like you were coming to Enchantment, and so I immediately texted you saying, "Are you coming to Enchantment?" And you said, "We're just pulling in," and I said, "Well, I'm in the bar."
Yeah.
So
we'll,
come join.
We'll see you in 5 minutes. And we had a good time, didn't we?
We did.
We had dinner, and then we went into town, and we saw Esteban.
Yep.
And that was a fabulous night. And
It was.
yeah, that's such a great place. I wonder who designed it.
Gee. Oh, someone by the name of let's see, Mark Candelaria.
Marco Candelaria.
And George.
Georgia Christensen. Yeah, we had a good time. That was many, many fun memories, and a lot of ups and downs on that job too. But another testament to just keep going.
Exactly.
Nothing happens easy, and if it does, you kind of have to look over your shoulder, like, okay, where is it going to whack me next? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've had your ups and downs,
Of course.
but it's going good now, right?
I will say that COVID has really hit hard from a standpoint of, when we changed from Engel Invokers to Modern Portfolio, we then developed a whole separate division of our concierge program, and I've done this for years. We've helped people with everything for years. We don't just sell a home,
Right.
but we help people maintain it, take care of it, do remodeling.
It's a full service.
You name it. But
Yeah.
with COVID, it was a case where we had sellers, we'd sold their home, and now they don't want to come back for closing.
Interesting.
So we would have to pack up their home, sell cars,
gosh.
do this, do that, and then unfortunately, some of my clients passed away. So we were dealing with estate attorneys, trust attorneys, and we were having to catalog everything, see what children wanted,
Yeah.
what they wanted, if they wanted anything, which,
Yeah.
it's been a very, very tough time.
Yeah, there's a lot of emotion tied to all of that. I'm
Totally,
sure. Yeah.
totally. So, but we're helping people, that's my passion.
Yeah. So it's when you see the commission, it's just like when I talk to Isabel, and same thing for us. I mean, there's so much that goes into what you do versus just a sales transaction,
Exactly.
that people have no idea. They have no clue all the things that you will do for whatever commission someone's paying, right?
Exactly.
And so I always, I think realtors do get a bad rap. I think there are a lot of realtors that don't do that much, but there's a lot. I always tell people, look, there's a handful of realtors that I think are above and beyond exception, and then there's the middle group, and then there's a whole group that are just groveling around. Okay, it's the same in our profession.
Hmm.
It's the same with contractors, same with interior designers. It's probably the same with lawyers and doctors, right? And it's interesting. I mean, I've really learned that just because you're a doctor doesn't mean you're good,
Hmm.
you know, and just because you're a realtor doesn't mean you're great. There's great realtors and there's not so great realtors,
Right.
But I personally appreciate the difference because when I work with someone that works as hard as you do, it's amazing. It's just simply amazing, the difference.
Thank
And
you.
again, there's so much that goes above and beyond a transaction. And you and I have worked on things that never come to fruition. We've worked on things that have come to great fruition, and you just don't know, But you put the effort in, and again,
Hmm.
if you do it right, it works out,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So what are some of the things you see in the next year? Let's just say in 2021. Where do you see this market going? What's your guess?
I see that again. People are finally taking stock in their lives,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going, okay, do we want to now? We're of the age where do we want to transition from having the main home back east,
Right.
or wherever, and now switching and having the main home out
Out
here,
here, yeah.
because our lives are that important, and so you know with Scottsdale, with Paradise Valley, we're seeing so many people that are seriously now taking a hard look at moving here.
Yeah. Do you think they're liquidating their homes back east completely?
They're either it depends on if they're still working, but basically what we're seeing that they're either now buying a smaller place back there, and then selling the big home.
Yeah.
Uh,
Flipping it.
exactly,
This is their new home, and they
exactly.
keep something small over there. What about the whole Airbnb market? You see their public offering the other day?
Honestly, no.
It was insane. I mean, I think they were coming out at about 83 or $100 a share, and it went to 164 like the first trade.
Really?
Yeah, so it's crazy. So in the real estate business, how has Airbnb affected things?
Well, again, we've had quite a few people that have asked us to find them properties, but you've got to be careful because a lot of clients don't want people in and out all the
Right,
time.
right.
They're in a community where
Or the HOAs get pretty upset about it, or neighbors.
well, or a lot of HOAs. Fortunately, a lot of HOAs will not accept it,
Right,
because again, if you're in an established neighborhood, you don't want
right.
people coming in
Yeah,
and leaving.
yeah. So where we are in our community here, we passed something in our CCNRs that you have if you're going to rent it, it has to be for 6 months minimum.
Exactly.
So it can't be a 1 month rental. It can't be a 1 day or a 1 week. You got to rent it for 6 months.
Right.
And I think that's kind of a natural cutoff point where it kind of rules out the Airbnb clientele.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
So I've heard some horrible stories. I mean, I've rented my share of Airbnbs, but I'm not throwing lavish parties with teenagers.
Oh,
There's some crazy ones, right?
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So what do people want in the houses right now? I mean, has it changed in the last year?
You know, it's funny because we went through the period of time where after 2008 and all that, and people were starting to think, okay, now we don't want the big home anymore. Now we want,
Right.
we want something smaller. But then you and I have both been through with our clients where they say they want something smaller, and then all of a sudden it's like, but we still want this
Oh yeah,
room,
I see
and
that.
we
We're
want
down.
that room.
So I've had downsizers end up being bigger
Bigger.
than their current house. I'm like,
Exactly.
okay, how did this happen?
Exactly. So, but again, I think COVID has played a big role
Mm-hmm.
on where do people want to live? Do they want to be in a man-gated community now?
Right.
Will they, to be in a man-gated community, will they settle for a home that needs to be remodeled and go from there? And we're seeing a lot of that now.
Interesting. What about demographics? Is it still older people moving here, or is it younger families, or is it both?
We're seeing everything.
Everything.
We're seeing everything.
Everything, yeah. From all parts of the country, too, right?
Right.
But it's mostly California, would you say?
We're getting a lot of California people here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And maybe that's why we're a blue state now, huh? Who knows, right? We don't know. We'll see where we go. Maybe we'll be violet or something, you know. So you run hard. You're a hard worker. Like I said earlier, you were one of the elite realtors who I know works your little butt off. And how do you do that? What motivates you?
You know, it's having great clients. They're demanding. Some of my
Yep.
clients, my clients are basically, you will be 24/7, won't you?
Yep.
And I go, yes, of course I will for you. But what I found now is, fortunately, I have a great team that supports me
It makes a big difference, doesn't it?
100%.
Yeah.
And before, I wanted to do it all on my own.
Yep.
And now
Control.
control. But now I've learned that it's important to do what you do best,
Yep.
and hire the staff that does what
And
they
give them
do best.
power. Give them, what's the word for it? Give them enough authority that they can make decisions,
Right.
and they have to live with the consequences and coach them along the way, mentor, but divide and conquer. I mean, if you got a good team, there is so much more you can do.
Exactly.
And if you just try to do it all yourself.
Well, and the client benefits, and we have to look at how can we help that client.
Right.
So
So when you assemble your team, I mean, it's so important to assemble a team that have a like mind and a similar cultural and similar values. Do you find that to be the case?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we have to all be on the same sheet of music
Yeah.
for what we want to accomplish for the client. My operations manager says, each client is a patient.
Right.
We have to look at that patient. How can we help that patient?
Right. Right. How do we solve their problem?
Correct.
Right. Yeah. And it does. It takes a lot of teamwork, and a lot of coaching and a lot of mentorship, I think.
Correct.
So how do you relax? What do you do to unwind? I know we've unwound with you a few times, but what's kind of your daily routine to just like chill out?
I will tell you, honestly, until COVID hit, I was 24/7 for my clients.
Yeah.
I had no personal life. It was, it was difficult because my clients came first.
Right.
They still do, but I become more selective, number one,
Yep.
on who can I help and
Right.
who will appreciate my help.
It's what I have found is as I've gotten older, that gets easier to do. When you're young, it's like, man, I gotta keep this train going. I gotta, and you get some bad ones sometimes, like, oh my God. And what happens is the clients that are the most demanding, or not even, just sometimes you get people that just aren't very nice, period. And they'll just suck you dry, And what happens is your good clients suffer from it a lot of times. So I've learned to get much better at being more selective.
Yes, and that's what we have to do.
Yeah.
And I think for me, again, with COVID now, my doctor gave me a wake-up call and said, you're on a hamster wheel.
Yep.
And how are you going to get off of it?
Right.
So I now have hired an incredible personal trainer
Good for you.
and a spiritual coach.
That's good.
And an inspirational coach.
Yep.
And right now, Victoria, my standard white poodle,
Yep.
is number one for me.
That's nice.
And my clients all adore Victoria.
Oh, she's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, what Isabel and I talk about all the time is we are constantly taking what we have in our well and giving it to others all day long, all day long,
Mhm.
all day long. Well, at some point, your well is empty,
Exactly.
and if you don't do anything to refill it, you're going to crash and burn at some point. And so, what we strive to do, it's it's give and take every day, but try to take some time for yourself and do the things you just talked about. Get a little exercise,
Hmm.
spend some time with some good friends, and just chit chat.
Hmm.
Have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine, and uh, it's just nice to get off the hamster wheel, as you said, and just put something back in your well, right?
We have to,
Yeah,
or we're no good for our
that's
clients.
exactly right. Yep. So I like to cook, as you know. That's kind of one of my ways. Is well, that's a lot of hard work. I said, yeah, but it takes my mind completely off of everything. And then for me, it's not just, it's more just clearing my mind
Right.
of things. And I just find that's a great way to do that.
Hmm.
So it's interesting. I'm always curious as how driven people, type A personalities, which I know you and I both are.
Hmm.
How do we tone it out and mellow out sometimes? So that's what. Did you read? Do you like to read, or you listen to podcasts, or?
Honestly, I've just started. I've just started reading, and it's funny because my coach, um, Crystal, wrote a book, "Quitting to Win,"
Hmm.
and I joked with her the other night. I said, she said, how are you sleeping? And I said, well, um, before I go to bed, I read your book, and it puts me to sleep.
There you go.
And I was joking with her, but
Yeah.
not really.
Yeah.
So I'm
So you're
fine.
finding reading helps you just relax.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly.
That's
So
cool. Yeah, I like books. I'm not a good reader because my mind, it's like I start wandering. So I do the audiobooks, which I tend to, that
okay.
seems to work good because I can still kind of multitask, which I know I probably shouldn't do, but I can do that and listen to a book, and I get through more books that way, which I really enjoy. So we all have our ways of facing the world and getting through it, I guess, right?
Exactly.
So what's next for you?
Oh, next for me is really spending more time on developing our concierge program
Mm-hmm.
because, again, there is such a need for helping clients all over the country and being a full service company
Right, beyond the sale.
beyond the sell.
Right. And what I find with that is then you're maintaining contact with that client all the way through. So when the day comes that they are ready to sell, it's just a kind of a no-brainer at that point, right?
Um, yes,
Yeah, it's a good
correct.
system, I think. I think it's a great system, and it's definitely needed. I see with a lot of our clients, even when they build a custom home, you know, they need someone to kind of help them keep these custom homes going because a lot of them are huge and they're a lot of work. And I think your concierge service is a great thing I could add as an adjunct to our service. So
Hmm.
we need to talk about this a little bit.
We will.
Yeah.
We will.
So, well, thank you so much for being here.
Mm.
What are you going to do for Christmas besides come over here?
Well, Victoria and I are going to take some nice walks. We're
Good.
going to take it easy a little bit and regroup for the new year.
Very nice. Well, I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish you a very happy 2021. This has been one heck of a year, hasn't it?
Oh, it has.
Hasn't it gone fast?
Oh, it's been ridiculous.
That's like, how did this? I mean, it's just the whole thing seems kind of like a
Mm,
weird dream, to be honest with you.
it has
I feel
been.
like I'm in an episode of Dallas. I'm going to wake up and it was just a dream. So, well, thank you so much for coming. I wish you continued success,
Mm,
continued good health,
mm.
and I look forward to many, many fun times with you.
Yes, we will.
All right.
We
Now,
will.
how do we get a hold of you, Sandra?
Um, well, my cell phone is 480
Mm-hmm.
390 6050,
Okay.
and my email is sandra@sandrawilken.com.
Okay, and we'll put your Instagram handle and all those fun things on the story notes. We
Perfect.
can find you anywhere that way.
Thank you.
Okay, and if you have a property that you want to sell, if you have a house you want to sell, if you have a house you want to remodel, give Sandra a call. She will tee you all up. She's got a great team. I'm proud to be a member of her team,
Mm.
and we'll take good care of you. Right?
Yes, we will.
All right. Merry Christmas to you, and thank you again.
Anytime.
Thank you, Sandra. Always fun to spend time with you, and I learned so much about you. And yeah, this real estate market is truly something else. We are definitely looking forward to a robust 2021, and I look forward to our collaborations down the road. We have some great podcasts coming to you over the holidays. Next week, we have a fun check-in podcast with my wonderful friend in Umbria, Italy, Elizabeth Woolley, and we will see how things are going over there in Italy and how they are celebrating the holidays in the midst of this ongoing pandemic. Great interview, very enlightening. So I definitely invite you to tune into that one. And then right after the holidays, we have a podcast coming with former CBS 5 News anchor, Catherine Anaya. So some good podcasts. Okay, I want to give a big thank you to all of you who have been listening to our podcast as our listeners keep growing nicely. Thank you also for the ratings and reviews. Remember, the first review we get dated December 30th or later will receive a free Candelaria collection pasta maker. So give us some love on those ratings and reviews, and make sure you direct message or email me that you posted the review so we can get you your pasta maker, okay? You got to be making some pasta in 2021. I mean, let's do it. Let's go for it. We do our best to inspire living in everything we do, from our podcasts to our cooking classes to our tours and, of course, our Candelaria design homes. Okay, have a great week, everyone. Happy holidays to you all. And let's all live our lives with love, compassion, grace, and positivity. See you next year. Because Inspiring Living is all about the people and the organizations that inspire us, we are excited to have Monogram Appliances as one of our sponsors. Anytime we do a new kitchen or a kitchen remodel, Monogram Appliances are what we recommend to our client. Their appliances are the definition of luxury, meticulously detailed using the finest materials and an ownership experience that is second to none. This is how Monogram is always thinking ahead and inspiring and elevating the kitchen experience. Because at Monogram, they don't just elevate one thing, they elevate everything. I want to say a big thank you to my good friends at Stockett Tile and Granite Company, where your project is our priority. I want to thank the Stockett team along with so many others who contributed to the success of our fabulous demonstration kitchen in our new Candelaria design office expansion. You will have to check out our online video cooking classes, and our kitchen is amazing. I've had the pleasure of working with the Stockett team for nearly 40 years on many spectacular projects, and trust me, they are the epitome of excellence when it comes to tile, marble, and granite work, bar none. Their skill and customer service is impeccable, and the bottom line is they are just good people. I have traveled with, dined with, and just had good times, both personally and professionally, with Dave Stockett and his lovely wife, Becky, and they are the best. When it comes to your next tile and stone project, make sure Stockett Tile and Granite is a part of your team. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed our podcast. We encourage you to write a review, screenshot it, and share it with your friends. Please instant message it to me and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We thank you for listening, and we look forward to sharing more insights to inspiring living next week.